Well, thanks for joining us. I'm Matt Sampson. Now, we've all dealt with bullying at some point in our lives, and actually, if we have kids now, we may be dealing with it in a kind of a second-hand way. And there's a local author we want to tell you about. He's taking this sensitive subject, bullying, and turning it into inspiration for his latest book. There it is, Inside Out. We're going to welcome the author, Rick Alimonti, to the show. And, we mentioned latest because how many books have you written?
This is my fourth.
Okay, where did it all start for you?
It all started with writing a story for my own family on stranger danger because I wasn't happy with what I found out there. Then there, lo and behold, I come upon a literary agent who likes the book and markets it for me, and that became my first book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, because a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with self-publishing, but a lot of people have to get started with that, and a literary agent found you. How did he find you, or she find you?
She found me because she was a proofreader in the law firm I was working for at the time.
Oh, no
working
kidding.
part-time.
Oh, man. Now, you've picked children and would you call them traditional morals or values? What would you say?
I think you would say traditional values, morals, themes about growth. I had a wonderful mentor as a child, a gentleman who wrote plays for our community theater group. And all of his stories had this theme of taking a second look at someone and maybe finding there's more to them and more to like about them than maybe you first realized. And that has carried over into me and been a big important part of my writing, whereas characters evolve, they learn things about themselves and they learn things about the people around them.
Okay, you started with stranger danger, but now you're on the topic of bullying. Is this not a traditional bullying story, or maybe not what we would first think?
Not at all. And actually, it's funny, as I think about the title Inside Out, the book was written inside out. I didn't set out to write a book about bullying. I set out to write a book about appreciating differences and understanding one another and acceptance. And in putting this book together about acceptance and wanting to use a sort of fanciful theme, lo and behold, I finished it and I said, wow, I just wrote a book about bullying. And it doesn't take on bullying in a preachy way or in a instructive way, but really gets to the very heart of the matter, which is what makes us beautiful is on the inside, and how our main character, through a very unusual transformation, learns that the true beauty is in the person she's bullying and not in herself.
Okay, I know we want to tease the people, but you got to tell them a little more, because I think I hear Hollywood knocking. I mean, seriously, this, the premise is you've got these girls in a group, and I guess one of them is a little bit more perceptive than perhaps the others. And there's a quiet girl, and she worries about maybe they're picking on the quiet girl. And one morning she wakes up and realizes what was inside is now outside.
Exactly.
And that she and her friends aren't the cute, popular girls anymore.
Yeah, well, I have middle schoolers.
Okay.
And I also coach baseball,
all right,
Little League baseball. And so we get to see the way children interact. And in writing this story, it was not based on a specific experience, but just the way we can see exclusion is really a form of bullying.
Right.
And when I put this book together, I developed a character based upon the typical queen bee in middle school who has everything and everyone and is adored by everyone for being the coolest of the cool. And she finds her target, who is a child who is a sweet child who takes care of her brother because she's the child of a single mom and is brutally picked on at school, on the bus, etc. And our heroine, or maybe our protagonist, you can decide, Sally Simpson in the book, wakes up one morning finding herself transformed into a hideous creature, taken to a school where all of her friends have been similarly transformed into creatures in which their inner beauty is portrayed on the outside.
Or their inner ugliness.
And their inner ugliness. And as the story starts out, herein lies our tale of what true beauty is about when one day a young girl finds herself inside out.
Oh, now you mentioned, is it more as a parent, or did you experience some of this yourself when you were a kid?
I not to the degree of poor Jessie in our story, but I think all of us growing up had experiences of being excluded and not feeling like we were welcome, whether it be not being the most athletic, not being the most gifted in a given class. And for me, I felt very excluded for a while when we moved into a new neighborhood, and all the friendships had formed long before I was, and I was the outsider. So we all have our...
Now, I said kidding around, but with a certain amount of serious, this premise sounds so good. Like at least it would have to be an after-school special on TV. But then you surprised me by telling me there is a group who's going to do this.
Yes, and a big shout out to Rebecca Moore in St. Mary's Middle School in St. Mary's, Ohio. They are using Inside Out for their school bullying project. The kids are going to be acting it out, and I am just thrilled to be working with the school and this great lady. And so that is just starting, and I'll be talking to them about that over the next several weeks as this takes shape.
Okay, that's pretty good. We'll ask you to have them send us a little piece of that at some point.
I don't think they'll mind.
Okay. Rick, we want to thank you very much for coming in. Rick Alimonti, once again, we want to talk about the book. They're called Inside Out. And, of course, log on to our website, news12.com. We'll link you over for any additional information. Thanks for coming in.
What a pleasure. Thank you so much.
And stay with us here on News 12.